The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the presenters and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Cincinnati-Hamilton County Community Action Agency or its Head Start program. Previously on Parent Connection.
We are broadcasting live from CAA. We moved around the locations a bit because we want to keep moving around locations. Right now, we in the spot where a lot of these great workers do a lot of amazing work for Head Start.
Yes, we
You know
do.
what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
So we right with the
the
people
magic
behind the people behind the magic. We right where they at.
Yeah.
And also we want to get into it straight with mental health, the actual definition of mental health, because I think a lot of times we hear that, right? And
They think the negative.
yeah, right.
First thing, and it kind of speaking on that, good brother, say when they talk about mental health, the first thing they think about, oh, he crazy or she crazy, he got issues, she got issues. It could be a lot of things up under the whole mental health definition, which people actually overlook. But if you can not focus so much on the negative and actually dig deep down into the definition of mental health, then you can understand it better.
And I have one person who said something about it, and she said that mental health to her name is Whitley Stallworth. Mental health to her is understanding and being honest with yourself that you have issues and getting help, especially when it's interfering with your day-to-day life. Order. So that's the thing we need to do. First of all, we need to get educated on what these mental illnesses are. Then stop being afraid of them.
You know what? When you just said it right there, like we need to get educated. That's a strong, valid point, because it's like so many people are so judgmental when they hear these certain words. It's like they automatically think the negative, but they don't actually take the time out to see like what causes this, or what can I do when this happens, or if it does happen and if it continue, can I get some further help to help me? Like when you said you went and got help for it. It's a lot of people that wouldn't even have took that initiative or that step to go and get some help. They rather resort to other options like recreational activities and stuff like that, because they feel like it's a balance, it will calm them down. But you got to think at the beginning, at the end of the day, it's still a problem that still needs to be solved.
So that's why I kind of want to keep I kind of want to keep this conversation going in that regard, right?
It's time for the perculator. It's time for the perculator. It's time for the percolator. It's time for the
I think it's important for us to understand that for a lot of us, I don't think it's a judgment thing. Again, y'all know I always try to play both sides of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a judgment thing for a lot of people when it comes to it. It's about what's been portrayed. Just like in this America that we live in, you know what I'm saying? Black men are viewed as a threat, as animals, as beasts, because there's propaganda that continues to push that message, right? So I think it's the same way with mental wellness and mental illness, mental well-being. You know what I'm saying? The health of an individual, I think it's that same way. I think for our community, you know what I'm saying? And when I say our community, yes, I'm speaking specifically to the disenfranchised, not just blacks. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I believe culture is really what permeates everything that's happening now. And it comes across a lot of times like black and white, but it's not as much as it is the culture of the class in America, right? So the disenfranchised, the have-nots, you know what I'm saying? The lower middle class and below. I think we have a whole nother culture that we for us it becomes a thing of, oh, it's so much going on. There's so many things I gotta fight on the daily. Now I'm not about to fight mental health. I'm not about to own that. I'm not about to own that fight. You know what I'm saying? Like that's no, I ain't crazy. You know what I'm saying? Or for let's say since late 80s, you know what I'm saying? Around that time, there was this huge push to put a lot of kids on pills. You know what I'm saying? Let's give them some Ritalin. Let's get them on some stuff like that, because people were trying to figure out what the landscape was as far as mental wellness. I don't think it. Of course, there's always the conspiracies. I don't want to dive in now in this podcast. I want us to. Again, I'm with her. We are very passionate about. So I want to try to.
Yes, we are.
I want to own a lot of facts about it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us were taught that only way to behave or act right was to be medicated. You know what I'm saying? You get older, and then you stop using the drugs that they give you in the pill form. You roll it up,
They are
or
trying to
you shoot
medicate
it up. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's only getting worse as the more and more we go on, because a lot of teachers are pushing medication
Man, they
when
pushing that more
they're
than the
developing.
education for real.
Yes,
But there's reasons
they
why.
because they think that, I feel like they, and that's another thing I am passionate about. But because you have children who are IEPs for ADD and ADHD, the rise of the diagnoses of those
Right.
particular illnesses is so much on the rise, and the first thing everybody wants to do is put the child on medication. No, you don't always have to put the child who's ADD or ADHD on medication. I feel like there are more creative ways to engage our children.
For
We're putting
sure.
laptops in
Right.
front of our children.
Hold on,
We're
wait,
putting
time out,
tablets
time
in
out,
front of
time
children.
out, time
Okay.
out. To be fair,
Okay.
speaking as a person who works with a mental health agency inside of the CPS schools,
Okay.
I can be honest. My biggest fight is with everybody when it comes to making sure the wellness of this child is maintained. You want to know why? Because there are parents who will say, well, you know what? They got ADHD. He got this. He got that. Let's just throw something on him. They throw something on him, or they want to put the child in therapy and all stuff like that. But here's what happens. Let's say let's say you got a messed up hand. You know what I'm saying? You got to know. You Let's say you got a messed up arm, right? Your entire arm is crushed, right?
Right.
And the doctor come and say, you know what? I want to put a new hand and fingers on your messed up arm, but the entire arm is messed up.
It's
You could
like
put
it's, ha-
you could
it's
put a
habit.
new hand here, but it ain't doing nothing. So it's the same way. We look at the kids. A lot of parents look at the kids and stuff like that. And mind you, it's a culture that has been progressively becoming what it is, because again, like I said, starting as far as, let me talk to my knowledge, I know that from the late 80s on, it became a
Right.
thing to try to tackle it the best way they can. So a lot of times they were figuring stuff out. They still trying to figure stuff out. I'm not saying they know it all, but so you got the parent who say, yeah, to put my kid on that, put my kid in therapy, but then they go home, the kid can go to therapy, get all the coping skills in the world,
And
get all
still
that
be
stuff,
showing them.
and go home, and it's still the same madness.
But you know what? Speaking on that, bro, I feel you on that. But then a lot of these parents nowadays, you can't just believe what somebody else tell you about
Hold
you.
on, time out, and real quick, I would like, at least because this subject is so real, for the rest of it, can we own to say a lot of us as parents?
Okay.
I don't want to do the these and that, because I don't want anyone to feel turned off after this conversation, because I think everything that we're
I don't
saying
want to feel
tonight
nobody being
is
singled
so
out.
real. For sure, but go ahead.
But you know, and I can successfully say there's a lot of these parents, you can't just up and be like,
A lot of
okay,
us parents.
a lot of us parents. I'm
Well,
working
I
on
said,
it.
he
My
was like,
bad,
yeah,
I'm working
cool,
on
but
it.
a lot of these parents,
Well,
you know,
I
Like,
just
you know,
think
a lot
as
of us
a
parents, we
parent,
can't sit here and think that medicine is always going to work. You have to take out that proper time as well as that nurturing for
but
that
they're getting
child.
that
They have,
medication talk from
man,
somewhere. Okay,
because
parents are not just waking up saying, "Oh, I think I want to put little Johnny on medication today." They got that from somewhere.
because you get
right.
but if you get a cold, you want Theraflu, right? I'm just
No,
saying,
no.
you don't take
Before they had
no
medication,
drugs.
what were they
For
doing
sure.
about ADD and ADHD?
For sure, I'm not disagreeing with that. But what I'm saying is
I'm just saying.
we can't make the blatant statement that it's all wrong. It does help a
It's
lot of
not
kids.
all wrong,
I'm
but
again,
I was
I
a
work in
product
that
of
school, Shawty. I
medication.
tell you.
I was
Go
too.
ahead.
I was diagnosed with ADD as a child.
For sure.
And that was a struggle for my mother because she tried everything she could before she put me on medication. Then she put me on medication, and then those medications zombied me out. I lost weight. I
Man.
had no I had no I had no personality. It was just like Cat Williams said when you give your child some Ritalin, and he said the baby all of a sudden went from running to stop running, and he said, "Baby, what you thinking about?" And he said, "Running." Because that's all you do. It's like you're trapped in your mind with this medication. So
Sometimes.
yeah, it's a quick
Right.
fix when you sit in the classroom for 8 hours. Sure.
Sometimes.
But when you are no longer yourself as a person, that's where you draw the line. And my mom
Okay.
said, "That's it. I'm not doing it anymore.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, but let's
I'm not
explore
putting
it.
my child in any more medication."
But let's explore that, right?
Okay.
So when you say just for 8 hours or so to keep them together, I think that's a bit. I think we could come across disingenuous if we paint that picture, right? Because again, like I said, mind you, I am speaking from the perspective of some. I'm telling you, this is my everyday. You know what I'm saying? This is what this
Okay.
is. I'm dealing with this. I do know that it helps sometimes. Everything can help
Sometimes it
sometimes.
does.
So, and with that being the case, and even then,
Would you have
I still to the parents from the beginning. It's not about getting your child to behave. It's about getting your family well. So again, if little Johnny come to school and little Johnny's hearing gunshots, seeing abuse in his home, seeing his mama cuss him out because she's stressed out because she got mental health stuff that she's not addressing, and then come to school, I don't matter what drug or what therapy you put it in, you're not seeing a success because that's what we do.
But that's what I'm saying. Medication is not the
Stop. I mean, okay, I get that, but I feel like if we stop at that part and just say medication ain't it, we're denying the truth that medication can help. Medication has helped.
It can, but it's not always the answer.
Yes, it's not.
Sure.
It shouldn't be the first answer.
And it's never the first answer. It's never been the first answer.
Like you said,
we know that. Let's not do that.
He going on medication. She's showing out. She going on medication. Both my kids they going on medication. Come on now. Whatever happened to the let me sit you down and talk with you and get down to
But if I as a parent am not mentally well enough to be able to do so, sometimes as a parent who's not mentally well in my own life, right? All I want to do is get little Johnny to calm down, be quiet, so I can roll up, I can pull up, and I can just forget my problems.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I think it's so important for us to discuss the subject and broach it in such a way where we're talking about family wellness, right? And it does start with the top down. You can't try to medicate or fix whatever you think is going on with your kid when you're not making sure you're okay. But you know what happens is these what happens is these teachers and the principals and stuff are so afraid to be able to talk to the parent and say, okay, well, what's going on at home? Is there anything we can help with?
I gotta communicate better, man. That's all.
But even then, but hold on. Now, I don't even think that's fair.
Because mental health.
But how many people? Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry. I just want to ask this question. I'm going to pose this question. I want y'all to go from there. If a parent, if you go to your schools, you go to your child's school, and the principal addresses you and say, or the teacher pulls you to the side, and say, "Hey, man, little Johnny been flipping out. What do you want? What do you want to happen? Because is there anything going on with your home that we can help with? Are you going to take that well?"
Actually,
most parents don't. I just want to put that out there, but go ahead.
This is true because when my child was in daycare, really great daycare, they asked me, "Hey, what's going on with your son? He's not speaking, and I think he has autism." Well, I have an 8-year history in school, working in school, so I've seen children from preschool to 6th grade.
Right.
And even then I said, whoa, wait a minute. Now let's not start a conversation with labeling.
Right.
Because I believe truly that what you put in the universe is what you will get out of the universe. So let's not put labels on my son.
Okay.
I said, but however, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I will have him evaluated. So we just found out he had speech issues. So, and he was just a little behind on the learning curve. So what did they do? I went through the proper procedures, got him that early intervention, and started that conversation. And I do think, and I definitely agree, that it is a very hard thing to bring up mental. Well, he's not mental, but you know what I mean, like the mental.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking from that perspective. I'm talking from the perspective.
You gotta soften into that. You can't.
But how?
Hey, Johnny is just acting crazy,
bouncing off the walls. He just slapped little Sally. What we supposed to do? And then because what happens is we see it a million times, and I bet if anybody, if we're honest with ourselves, because I'm telling you, as I work and do this job, let that principal come up to me and say, man, what's going on at home? Because we noticing Deanna having some issues. Hey man, what you mean? It's a natural instinct. That's fair.
You're gonna be on the
defense.
I
think you need to approach
fair,
it.
But I feel like that's. I mean, of course, you know what I'm saying. But again, like I said, you know what I mean. That's why they give people like different people to help, right? But I'm saying it's such a real thing where the biggest issue comes in where people are like, I feel like we've embedded this fear in our community of being able to discuss what's really going on with our children. So we do still say like, oh well, let's try to see what we can get him on medicine, see if we get him some services. What are we approach the schools like you need to do this about my child when we had to remember, hands down, the honest truth is our families is what our family
Start
structure
from the
is the
foundation.
right. Our family structure is the first thing that teaches our child.
That's right.
So if our child is having some PTSD, showing elements of PTSD or you know what I'm saying, uh, I'm
Any
blanking,
other issues,
defiance and
Yes.
stuff like that,
Right.
right? Opposition, you know what I'm saying, defiance. You know what I'm saying? And all of these type of things, it can be remedied for sure without medication, but and even with medication it can be remedied. But the biggest issue is it starts with us, the parent. It starts with us, the home, the environment, and what we're dealing with. And we need help with that. And
Right.
we need to be okay as a people. I implore everybody watching, be okay. It don't mean that something's wrong with you in the sense that you're wrong. It just means that you are having an affliction that's more common than we like to think. You know what I'm
That's true.
saying?
I
And
definitely
I
agree
feel like
with
that
I
needs
agree
to
with
be
you
the
on
issue,
that.
as opposed to just being able to say, oh, don't just they just want to medicate my kids. They just want to dope them up. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. I've met some teachers that are good. I've met some that are horrible. I met a
There
principal.
are some good and horrible teachers.
There's a principal in
Yeah,
this.
we
It's a
all had
principal in
those.
this city, and I'm gonna call it like I see. I ain't gonna call her name. I'm gonna call it like I say. I can't stand a woman because I'm confident that
That's good, Shay.
she lost all kind of real love for the people in the job. But but I'm telling you now, one of them, not one. I work with mental health professionals. I work with these doctors. I'm telling you now, one of them has ever said, "I can't wait to get this kid on some drugs." No, 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 no. That's not what happens. You know what I'm saying? What happens is they get used to the environment. They get used to the idea that this what happens because in the end, you do have some parents who push that because there is SSI and there are other things to go with that.
A
And
lot of people don't know that.
Other
though.
services
in
and
survival. A
assistance.
lot of people don't know what.
But
You
I
think-
think
Hold on.
they don't know that they can
Hey,
SSI.
I mean,
everybody
Yes, they
did
do.
something.
Yes, they
No,
do.
a lot of people do not.
Yes, they do. No, say a lot of people. You could tell me a lot of people you know don't know that. I'm telling you.
I didn't know that.
That's good if you did. I'm not denying that, but you can't.
But I'm just saying
there are
that
numbers that prove. Yeah.
But I think that's
They do.
that's a good. I'm agreeing with you on that.
For
I
sure.
also feel like the way that we also introduces from parent to parent, and that's something that I want to try to start here at the community action agency.
For sure.
But because nobody talks more to each other than the parents, so I might notice that another child might have some speech issues, and another parent might think that their child is okay. So, but
Sure.
anyway, what I really want to get is to introduce to the Black community that it's okay to not be okay. That is my favorite
Sure.
hashtag. And then my other one is hashtag stop the stigma. That is a really big hashtag on Instagram and stuff like that.
Downside.
But stop the stigma of mental health issues.
And I think that's
Okay to not be okay. I
You think
promise.
a lot of the parents, or they don't want to deal with the issue because of the labeling and the judging, so they shut down from it.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of miseducation for sure. That's why I'm trying to be careful with what we put out there.
That's
There's
right.
a lot of
I agree.
miseducation out there that
Yes, it is.
plays people all these different ways, and we never speak.
So let's
what we
agree
mean.
that talk therapy as well as medication can be a good
It can be helpful.
it could be helpful and
Sure.
healthy for somebody with mental illness. We can definitely agree on that.
For sure. And I like to take that. Okay, cool. So we park that, right?
Yep.
Now,
So
outside of that, let's also look at the idea I like what you was talking about, right? Because then a lot of things that we can do on a daily basis that helps with that, and one becomes our support system, like who you working with. You know what I'm saying? Because I came up, moving around these Cincinnati corners and such. Birds of a feather flock together. So if I considered you not one of us, right? Whatever one of us was for me at the time, be it you, at the time, like now I'm L7 all day, square. At the time I wasn't. So if you would consider a square, we ain't rocking with you, right? So it becomes that. If you find yourself to be a person who wants to be as healthy overall in the family, or healthy overall as you can be, what does your support system look like? Does it support that? You know what I'm saying? Who are some people you can reach out to when it's real? You know what I'm saying? I'm in my upper 30s, I tell you, you know what I'm saying? Ball and G had a song called you know what I'm saying, Friend or Foe. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
yeah, man.
And MJG tried to
Facts.
detail it for you. Who can I call when I need somebody to help me out? You know what I'm saying? Like where you
Right.
at with that? You know what I'm saying? So
You
I
got to
think
check on your
that
support
matters.
system to make sure it's
Right.
100 anyway, because you can have a support system and you could just have people just sitting there like, when is he gonna fall, or when is she gonna fall? When I ask Allie, do you need some help? What's going on? Can I be of some assistance or something? You rarely hear that. That's why you always got to double check your support system.
Yeah.
Sure.
So moving into some of the ways and signs for you guys to know that
Just move
you're
right past
I
the
know
support system.
Yeah.
we're
Go
gonna jump
ahead.
into the support system.
Go ahead.
But you know what? Okay, let me touch on the support system. It is
For
true
sure.
because I have
No, it's fine. Go
no,
ahead.
it's okay.
Go
I
ahead.
have somebody who's tuning in, and she was saying when a parent first starts to see the signs, since we're talking about support system, she said they should contact Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health Services.
Amen. Thank you,
They have
sir.
Okay.
a
Yeah.
program for people who detect early symptoms, and she said the
Early
key
symptoms of
mental illness.
Amen.
She said the key to hold on. She says the key to treating mental health
That's
is
me.
recognizing
Bless
the
you.
signs and acting upon it immediately. Every second counts. That's very true.
Amen, sister. Thank
And
Well,
one way to
big
figure
ups to
out
her
that
for
you
that.
are having a nervous breakdown or mental stress overload. A lot of people think a nervous breakdown is when you just can't get out of bed. But according to healthdirect.gov, it's you feel isolated. So you're
Hmm.
disinterested in hanging out with your friends and family.
right.
Feeling unable to concentrate. So
Right.
you don't necessarily have ADD or ADHD, but you just can't quite get your focus.
Mm-hmm.
You're moody, so it goes up and down, and it's not like a gradual. It's like a I'm high here, I'm down here, I'm up
Right.
here, I'm down here,
Yeah.
and feeling depersonalized. So you're not feeling like yourself or feeling detached from situations. Another sign is self harm. So if you feel like that you want to hurt yourself or somebody else, you need to seek professional help immediately.
You know,
So
it's a
those
lot
are
of that
some
going
signs.
on.
It is. It's a lot of stuff
Man.
that going on, and I really hate that in our society right now. And I don't want to say hate because it's a strong word, but what I really dislike a lot
Right.
about our society right now is that everybody cares when say what was his name Robin Williams when he committed suicide, when that was it was it CNN, that one guy I can't quite remember
Okay. Yeah.
but he's a big like person that a lot of people follow. When he killed himself, when the person who made I can't remember the name of the person who committed suicide. Everybody wants to talk about, oh, mental health, mental health, mental health. Like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, they killed themselves. I can't believe they would do something like that. But you feel so isolated. Like when I had postpartum depression, I felt so isolated. Like nobody understood me. And when I was telling people my issues, they weren't
Hmm.
hearing me. And so that will make you not even want to talk to
Make you
anybody.
not even want to be bothered.
So that is
Nothing.
another sign that I feel like, oh, she said it was Anthony Bourdain. But that
God
will
bless
make
him.
you feel
Mhm.
isolated. That will make you feel like you're by yourself, and that will make you feel like you can't talk to anybody because nobody understands where you're coming from. So you don't even want to talk about it anymore. And yes, it was Kate Spade. Kate Spade when her
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade
I
killed
do not
themselves.
remember any of these people. God bless them.
They committed
Yeah.
suicide. They committed suicide, and everybody was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did that." You have no idea. And it's somebody sitting right next to you. Like I was sitting right next to people, and you had no idea that I was depressed. You had
I mean,
no idea
Right.
that I was crying all the time. Nobody, not even my family. And they were like, "I did not know that."
but that's what I'm
You
saying. Is
wouldn't
that
know.
but is that something? Is that something really to dislike that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, as
They
far as
don't
society,
know that they don't. What I don't dislike, and I'm gonna finish. I dislike that everybody will talk about mental health for one spurt of time, and then they no longer want to talk about it, as if it went away because nobody is
That's
publicly
something that
speaking
need to
their
be
loss.
addressed all the time because you never know what a person is
Everybody needs to
going through.
talk about
you
all
never
the
know that.
time, especially in the Black community, for sure.
There's somebody going through something right now as we
It
doing this
is.
podcast, and we won't know it because if they feel like they gotta isolate themselves because they don't have an answer or a way out to stop feeling like that.
That's right.
That's the first thing they're gonna do is just shut down from any and everything, and that's self-harm.
Yeah.
They feel like that's
Yeah.
the better option, so they're gonna be ready to do that like first thing when it don't even have to
people
be
think
like
they're
that.
selfish and stuff, and I didn't understand suicide before, but I do now. I can't understand how somebody would feel that way. And I have Lex Lawson who's saying you can't talk to no one, and nobody understood what she was going through. So it's like people have reached out to you, but you didn't hear them
Well,
because you're not educated on what's going on.
well, I'll say this too, right? I don't know, man. So let me put my disclaimer on it right now.
Okay.
I think from a level of I engage in the ideas and the thoughts of being as strong as possible, right?
Right.
So I'll say this. I don't really believe in pointing fingers just because I feel like it itself causes it gives too much power, too much to everybody else. I myself suffered from depression. I was depressed for 5 years, half a decade. I
I've been there
spent
too, bro.
lost,
That ain't good.
like for real. I spent half a decade lost in depression. Now the thing was, I didn't know I was depressed, so I think that's one key, right? Like because I didn't think about killing myself every day. I ain't think about crying. I ain't want to cry every day. That wasn't where I was
That's a
at.
good point.
But
Good
but there's other
You just feel
other
like you by
elements
yourself.
of it.
But
And
I'm glad you touched on that, Andre, because there are so many different manifestations of depression itself.
Right.
So, for example, people think that when they think of, like you said, when people think about depression, they think about killing themselves. This is what people think on the outside. You're sad all the time and you just walking around like moping. But that is not what depression is. I didn't
it's not
know
the only thing that depression is.
That's not the only thing depression is. It manifests itself. So I was manifesting it by leaving things around my house that I knew right then and there that I could pick up and put away, but I didn't because it just felt so much better to leave it there. And then I would just lay in the bed and I would just go and grab us something to eat instead of cooking. And then just leaving stuff around, not being nasty like that, but just it felt better not to pick anything up.
Right. Things that were outside of your normal character of what
yes
be you.
Like your normal routine.
Way differently. And people think you just moping around looking like, and somebody said you behind it looks like you're behind a smile. And then when you talk about it, people say that you're tripping or you're just too emotional, but that's not true either.
And I think that matters too, right? Because at the time kind of going back to the piece about the support system and stuff like that. Well, yeah, because it matters who's around. So I'll just say that to the support system. But the reason why I was addressing it like that was because I don't know if I could say that nobody understood where I was coming from as much as it was because we've talked about this before. The same words that was said to me that I finally got me to change my life, that got me to see things different, were being told to me from people for that entire 5-year period that really loved me. You know what I'm saying? But there is that piece to the mental illness, to not being mentally well, where you don't want to hear it at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like the last thing I wanted to hear when I was sad and depressed and feeling the way I felt was, you know what, man, you'll be all right. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying?
You don't
the last thing
no type of sincerity in that, nothing. Like, so it's like,
even if it was,
it's like, even if it was, okay, but at the same time, it's like you just wasn't at that part yet. Like, so.
No. And I think that part mattered too, because like I said, it came to those spaces. So I just want to make sure I kick that out to the people. It's like sometimes it's okay to just look around and say, like, wait a minute, man, am I really on my 1-2? Am I really okay? And if I am feel like I'm okay, am I the best that I can be? And be, you know what I'm saying, and be okay with all these pieces, because that's the other thing. You know what I'm saying? Mental wellness is not a quick fix. It's not even really a fix. It's just like your health, your physical health. You have to maintain it. You have to work at it. You have to keep putting the work in. It is never going to be like, oh, okay, cool. You know what? I talked to the therapist a couple times, talked to me some pills. They prescribed me, you know what I'm saying, Zoloft, and I'm back. No, it's more so the idea that I have to continuously work at it. I have to continually be mindful and and do everything I can to practice being the best me that I can be. And it all feeds itself. And I think that's what that part that matters too, right? It all feeds itself. The mental wellness is about the wellness of the entire family. You know what I mean? And I think it's easy as a
nobody
parent.
fix you but you. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like you are your own machine. Because if you break down, you gotta fix yourself. You gotta tighten all your bolts, put grease all on your joints and everything to get you back to normal.
And a lot of people feel different. I can't call it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, for me, my spirituality is a key. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My family, my wife, you know what I'm saying? My brethren, they are real key to me maintaining mental wellness today. So I think there's always more things.
So what are some of the physical symptoms that can that people can recognize if they are having a breakdown or a mental stress?
It's like
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the presenters and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Cincinnati-Hamilton County Community Action Agency or its Head Start program.